75-year-old woman grabbed Hell's Angel arm. He's following me again. What happened next shocked everyone. The autumn wind in the small town of Oak Haven carried a chill that seemed to seep right into the bones of 75-year-old Agnes Miller. But it wasn't the weather that made her hands tremble as she clutched her grocery bags. It was the pair of eyes she felt burning into the back of her neck. For 3 weeks, a man in a nondescript gray windbreaker had been her shadow. He lingered near the bus stop, loitered outside the pharmacy, and stood just a little too close in the supermarket aisles. When Agnes finally found the courage to tell her son, David, his response was a dismissive sigh. "Mom, you're imagining things. You've been watching too many crime shows. The police can't do anything until he actually hurts someone." Those words hung heavy in the air, leaving Agnes feeling more isolated than ever. The local police station offered similar platitudes. Without an overt act of violence, their hands were tied. So Agnes walked alone, her heart hammering against her ribs every time she heard footsteps behind her. One crisp Tuesday afternoon, the fear became unbearable. The man in the gray windbreaker, whom she had mentally dubbed the Shadow, stepped off the curb directly behind her, closing the distance with alarming speed. Panic, cold and sharp, seized Agnes's chest. She scanned the street desperately for help, but the sidewalks were empty. Then she saw them. Parked outside Sal's diner was a row of gleaming motorcycles, their chrome engines still ticking from the heat. And standing beside them were men clad in leather vests adorned with the infamous Hell's Angels patch. Agnes froze. Her entire life she had been taught to fear these men. They were the outlaws, the dangerous ones, the people you crossed the street to avoid. But as she watched, paralyzed by the approaching stalker, she saw something that stopped her breath. One of the bikers, a massive man with a beard like steel wool and arms thick as tree trunks, was kneeling on the pavement. He was letting a tiny toddler touch his helmet, laughing softly as the child giggled. In that moment, amidst the rumble of engines and the glare of the sun, Agnes realized something profound. The man in the gray windbreaker hid in the shadows, preying on the weak. These men, despite their terrifying reputation, were sitting openly in the light. With a surge of adrenaline that defied her age, Agnes made her choice. She tightened her grip on her bag and walked not away from the bikers, but toward them. Her legs felt like lead, but she forced them to move. As the large biker who had been playing with the child stood up, his expression shifting from gentle to alert, he saw the terror in Agnes's eyes before she even spoke. Agnes reached out, her trembling hand grabbing the sleeve of his leather vest. "Please," she whispered, her voice cracking, "he's following me again." The biker, whose name tag read Frank, but whom everyone called Bear, didn't flinch. He didn't laugh or dismiss her. Instead, he leaned down, his voice a low, rumbling comfort. "Who, ma'am? Show me." Agnes pointed a shaking finger toward the man in the gray windbreaker, who had stopped 50 yards away, suddenly hesitant now that he noticed the group of bikers. Bear followed her gaze. His eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in recognition of a predator. He didn't need to ask questions. He simply nodded to 2 other bikers nearby. Without a word exchanged, the 3 men began to walk toward the stalker. Their movement was synchronized, a wall of leather and intent, moving with quiet menace. The man in the gray windbreaker waited only a second. Seeing the trio approaching, his confidence evaporated. He turned and sprinted down the alleyway, disappearing into the maze of the city. The tension left Agnes's body all at once. Her knees gave way, and she began to collapse. But before she hit the ground, Bear was there, catching her with surprising gentleness. "You're safe now, Agnes," he said, having learned her name from her trembling lips. "Come on inside. Let's get you some coffee and pie." Inside the warm booth of Sal's diner, surrounded by the very men society feared, Agnes found a peace she hadn't felt in weeks. Over slices of cherry pie, she told Bear everything. She spoke of the 3 weeks of torment, her son's dismissal, and her suspicion that the man, whose name she overheard a neighbor say was Carl, worked in the maintenance crew of her apartment building. Bear listened intently, his face grim. When she finished, he placed a large, calloused hand over hers. "Carl won't be bothering you again, Agnes. We know his type. and if he works in your building, we'll make sure he knows eyes are watching." True to his word, when it was time for Agnes to go home, she wasn't walking alone. Bear and 2 other bikers escorted her to her apartment complex. They didn't just drop her off, they stood guard outside the main entrance, a silent sentinel line that sent a clear message to anyone lurking in the shadows. That night, Agnes slept without locking her deadbolt 3 times, a habit she had developed during her ordeal. The incident marked the beginning of an unlikely friendship that would transform the neighborhood. It became a new routine. Every Tuesday and Thursday, when Agnes went shopping, a rotation of bikers would meet her, ensuring her path was clear. The sight of Hell's Angels escorting a sweet, elderly woman became a local legend, challenging every stereotype the community held. As for Carl, the pressure proved too much. Within days, the bikers gathered information on his past, discovering outstanding parole violations. They handed the evidence directly to a detective they knew, bypassing the red tape that had previously stalled Agnes's case. Carl was arrested that weekend, charged with harassment and violating his parole terms. He was gone for good. In gratitude, Agnes started baking. Every Sunday, her small kitchen filled with the scent of cinnamon rolls, apple pies, and fresh bread, destined for the motorcycle club clubhouse. She wasn't just a beneficiary of their protection anymore. She was family. The bikers, hardened by life on the road, softened in her presence, calling her Mama Agnes. But the impact went beyond one woman. The visible presence of the bikers in the neighborhood deterred other petty crimes. Drug dealers moved blocks away, vandals thought twice. Agnes's block became the safest in the city, all because one brave woman decided to trust the unexpected. Agnes often reflects on that day outside the diner. She realizes now that danger doesn't always wear a leather vest, and safety doesn't always come from the authorities. Sometimes salvation comes from those who live on the fringes but possess hearts of gold. It was a testament to the power of looking past appearances, to the courage of asking for help, and to the beautiful truth that kindness can bloom in the most unlikely places. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that everyone deserves a second chance and that kindness can come from anywhere, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us spread hope and emotional stories to millions around the world. Don't forget to tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Are you Team Agnes, or have you ever had an unexpected guardian angel appear in your life? Let's keep the conversation of kindness going. Thanks for watching.